Hello and welcome. This is NTA International and I am Lami Ali with the news. First, the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari rallies more support for Okonjo-Iweala's bid for World Trade Organization Director General post. Nigeria police dig holes in Amnesty International report on NSAS protests, describe it as misleading. 2,500 youth set to benefit from federal government Anchor Borrow scheme in Ogun State. Many thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed Nigeria's commitment to work with an international think tank group, an investment promoter who assesses global visions community towards finding solutions to challenges facing the country. This was at a virtual meeting with the members of the Visions community led by its founder and chairman, Dr. Frank Jürgen Richter, cross-sectional representatives of state governors and corporate organizations in Nigeria. President Buhari accepted the request of the global think tank to create its African hub in Nigeria, commending their vision for an expanded manufacturing through foreign direct investments to make the country a major beneficiary of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement coming into effect in 2021. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has held a video conference with Mr. Charles Michel, President of the European Council, during which the latter reiterated Europe's support for Nigeria's Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the next Director General of the World Trade Organization. The President is leading Nigeria's charge for Okonjo-Iweala, the country's former Minister of Finance, to emerge as the first black and female WTO DG. A presidency statement says President Buhari thanks the European Council for its support for Nigeria's candidate. Also discussed during the conference were issues bordering on debt relief for Africa, EU-African relations, and recharge of the Lake Chad, which has currently shrunk to less than one-third of its usual size and showing about 130 million people who depend on the lake into dire straits. Nigeria will continue to engage relevant stakeholders to ensure that the lofty aspiration of her candidate, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, to lead the World Trade Organization is realized. This comes from Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs as part of reactions trailing the election of a Director General for the World Trade Body. Adebola Brooksland Sunday has the story.
The ministry said although Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is yet to be declared the winner, despite her cross-regional support and adoption by the panel, especially as a result of the objection of the United States that in accordance with the rule of procedure of the World Trade Body, winner will have to emerge from a consensus, of which the General Council has scheduled a meeting for November 9. Reacting to the development, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala in a tweet said she is so far happy for her success and continued progress of her bid, adding that she is very humble to be declared the candidate with the largest and broadest support among members and most likely to attract consensus.
The members choose on merit from all the candidates. So I don't think it's a divide. And of course, I'm the candidate that is chosen and is backed because I think I have the qualifications and the leadership characteristics to do the job.
The frontrunner said the organization moves to November 9, which will be about 7 days after the U.S. election. Despite the hiccups, it is still keeping the positivity going. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Now to other issues. If all it takes is security to be if at all peace and security is to be sustained in any nation, then women must be actively involved, especially in decision and peacemaking process for tranquility to prevail. This is the consensus of different women groups as the 20th anniversary of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security held in Abuja. Details of this report will come to you in our subsequent bulletin. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has explained that officers of the Nigeria Police Force acted professionally, exercised commendable restraints, and some paid the supreme price for peace during the protests. A statement by the force indicates that the IGP made the observation following reports by Amnesty International dated 21st October 2020 that police personnel shot at peaceful protesters. He described the Amnesty International report as untrue, misleading, and contrary to all available empirical evidences. He noted that during the protests, officers of the force used legitimate means to ensure that the protests were carried out in a peaceful manner and in most cases physically protected and worked side by side with the protesters, and reiterated that even when the protests turned violent in some parts of the country, the officers still maintained utmost restraint and did not use excessive force in managing the situation. The Nigeria Customs Service is counting losses after the attack on its command and staff college, Gwagwalada, by about 4,000 hoodlums who hijacked the NSAS protests to loot and perpetrate mayhem. The commandant of the college, Assistant Comptroller General of Customs, Adewale Adeni, spoke to newsmen on the incident. Kunle Adeyeye has the reports.
Hoodlums in Gwagwalada, Abuja took a cue from other parts of the country and looted different public and private places. The Command and Staff College of the Nigeria Customs Service was among places attacked on 26th and 27th October 2020.
This is a training college where we are training youths like them and where we don't have anything like a warehouse holding up palliatives. But soon after, we got information that they are already assailing our fence, and we had to quickly move and see what they were doing and put up an appropriate response.
The level of destruction raised questions on how the hoodlums successfully executed their plan in spite of intelligence reports that may be at the command's disposal. Assistant Comptroller General Adeni explains the service effort to track the perpetrators.
We got intelligence that on Tuesday morning that they will be coming at us. And lo and behold, as early as 8 a.m. on Tuesday, we had over 4,000 hoodlums spread in that flank. We did make some arrests along the line. We tried the best to ensure that nobody comes into our college. But those who came into our college, those we could arrest, we arrested them and we handed them over to the police.
Normalcy has since been restored, with the command now evaluating the damage. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
In the meantime, 53 persons are in police custody for alleged looting and vandalism of the Kubwa NYSC orientation camp Abuja during recent violence in the aftermath of NSAS protests. Inspector General of Police Muhammad Adamu, who was at the camp for an on-the-spot assessment, says the suspects will be prosecuted. Francis Form reports.
Kubwa NYSC camp is now quiet. It suffered recent attack by hoodlums, although the remnants of grains, broken glasses litter on the ground. A grim reminder of the deviant behavior of some persons, but the security operatives assures that those in connection to the breach of peace are going to pay for it. The Director General of the NYSC, the IGP, went round the camp, and these were their discoveries in the unfortunate incident. Foodstuff, medicine, mattresses, newly acquired NYSC kits, grinding machines, and other valuable items have been carted away, but arrests have been made of some suspects.
We call on members of the public to please report anybody that they have seen with any property that came from this camp.
I want to use this opportunity to appeal to Nigerians to not please attack our facilities, because these corps members are going to be trained and be going to render service to our country.
The IGP equally visited the FCT command as a motivation to officers and men, despite the attack on some police formations. The IGP commends officers and men of the FCT for their resilience and professionalism for exhibiting restraints during the NSAS protest.
Those officers that lost their lives all over the country, they will not die in vain because adequate compensation has been planned for them.
He assures the personnel of federal government's commitment in reforming the police so as to meet up the contemporary challenges. In Abuja, Francis from NTA News.
And the nation's march towards ethical reorientation has always been in the front burner of national discourse. However, the anti-corruption agencies in the country still believe that the task of enforcing proper code of conduct, particularly among public officers, still remains a challenge. Now, the House of Representatives Committee on Ethics and Privileges is addressing this among its peers in the Green Chamber. Lami Ali has more.
One of the major fulcrums on which the Buhari administration stands is the fight against corruption. Though it has recorded some successes, the House of Representatives, through its Ethics Committee, is supporting the effort with this training on how to deepen good ethical conduct in public service.
Also, it enables us to hold other arms of government accountable. So that they can do what is right and do it in time for it to be seen as right.
It is the work that this committee is doing that will ensure proper governance and proper legislative code of ethics and compliance. So for us and for many Nigerians, this committee is lucrative and important and therefore need to be supported at all levels, at all costs.
The forums of the view that tightening the loopholes observed in the enforcement of national ethics and integrity policy could be tackled with proper oversight and enforcement.
It didn't matter how much Nigeria voted to any sector. As long as we fail or refuse to deal with this problem of corruption, we are never going to see the fruit.
The code of conduct has also been given enforcement powers to ensure compliance with code of conduct for public officers.
I think we should salute the House of Representatives in Nigeria. Since 2004, they've been at the forefront in trying to actually bring about their own code of ethics,
Anti-corruption agencies at the meeting also want quick passage of anti-corruption bills that will speed up the fight against improper conduct in the country. In Abuja, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Joining us now in the studio is a member of the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges, Solomon Bulus Maren, to speak on the necessity of the training. Mr. Maren, you're welcome to the studios of NTA International.
Thank you
now,
for having me.
Why do you think this training by CISLAC is important for the discharge of the duties of the members of the Ethics and Privileges Committee?
Well, this training was mainly to awaken members to the enormity of the responsibilities behoved on them as members of the Ethics and Privileges Committee. Seeing what has happened in our country lately, the NSAS protest, which signifies the loss of faith in leadership at all levels. And this, we think it is necessary that we begin to position members of parliament in accordance to Article 18 of the UN Convention on the Fight Against Corruption, and indeed the provisions of Part 2 of the 5th schedule of our Constitution, which included members of parliament to be part of those whose ethics of conduct are also required in their activities as an arm of government. So I think this seminar was able to make us more alive to our responsibility, to know that yes, as members, even though we are watchdogs of our colleagues in ensuring that they live up to the expectations of their responsibilities as members of parliament, we should know that the responsibility is enormous, even though it is very difficult and sometimes very frustrating when even actions and sanctions are meted on members of the House or members of the National Assembly And they approach the courts of law, and you find out the courts have overturned such sanctions.
Now, we want you to tell us, specifically what area of your obligation as in the ethics committee do you think is most challenging? You're talking about the court cases that some people institute.
Yes, what is most challenging is that first, you are supposed to be disciplining your colleagues. That is number one. Number two, sometimes when sanctions are meted out on colleagues, you find out that they rush to the courts and the courts overturn such sanctions. And so at a point, members of this committee became frustrated. But by this program today, we are so much energized to know that yes, despite some of the failures in the past, we should not relent, and to know that at this time, probity is expected from all members of government, the three arms of government, not specific to any. And that it is time for us to ensure that there is this probity among members of the National Assembly, so that they will also entrench and enhance good governance through oversights and indeed budgetary provisions.
Now, appropriation, let's look at appropriation. Appropriation is one of the constitutional mandates of the lawmakers. Now, how does the Ethics and Privileges Committee help the budgeting process at the National Assembly?
Well, we will help because if members will adhere to the rule of law in ensuring that budget provisions are done without any self-interest in them, certainly we will have the best of all. And it is the duty of the Ethics and Privileges Committee to ensure that no member of parliament induce or is induced in any way something that is personal in the budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so the Ethics and Privilege Committee has waken up to ensure that, yes, even if there are some things that should go around, they should go around to all the constituencies of Nigeria, such that no man takes more than required alone, and then the other people are crying. And
we thank you very much. We thank you very much for your comments, Honorable Maren.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
That was Honorable Bulus Maren, a member of the Ethics and Privileges Committee of the House of Representatives. You're watching the news on NTA International. Time now for a short break. We will be back with more reports. Don't go away.
Demands of #EndSARS movement. Immediate release of all arrested protesters. Justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families. Setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens. Federal government's response. On 11th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police dissolved the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, across the 36 states police commands and the Federal Capital Territory. On October 12th, President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation, stating, "The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reforms." On 13th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police ordered all defunct SARS personnel to report at Force Headquarters, Abuja, for debriefing as well as psychological and medical examination. On 13th October 2020, the Presidential Panel on the Reform of SARS accepted the 5-point demand of the #EndSARS protesters. On 15th October 2020, the National Economic Council, NEC, directed the immediate establishment of state-based judicial panels of inquiry across the country to receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, related extrajudicial killings, with a view to delivering justice for all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youths and civil society as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
What does it take to get ahead in today's world? To get your dream job, the perfect girl, even a table at your favorite dance club. It takes moving fast. It takes moving at the speed of 4G. With Intel 4G LTE, you've got it all covered. That's because you have access to super fast unlimited data that enables you move as fast as the speed of light. Now, no download is too heavy. No conversation too long. Nothing is impossible. Get Intel 4G LTE Advanced today and do so much more. Intel. Live more.
Issa to like football on top Go TV. So they him forget say him be best man for him body wedding. Amaka disappoint her bobo all because of football. Kola and him family supposed come out, but then gas change plans because for this new football season, Go TV get correct football action will make sense. Get Go TV decoder wey come with 1 month Go TV Max subscription for only 9,500 naira. Go TV.
2,500 young cassava farmers in Ogun State are set to benefit in the third phase of federal government's Anchor Borrow scheme powered by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Commissioner for Agriculture, Diola Didino, who inspected the planting demonstration in a Kenne farm settlement ahead of the training for beneficiaries, said the state has provided enough farmland for the scheme. Lukman Adefeso's report is presented in this package.
The third batch of the Central Bank Anchor Borrow scheme for young cassava farmers with 2,500 beneficiaries in Ogun State is being implemented in collaboration with the state government. The state government provided 2,500 hectares of cleared farmland in 20 locations across the state free of charge, while the Central Bank of Nigeria provided credit facility and inputs for the beneficiaries. This visit by the Commissioner for Agriculture, Adiola Odedino, to 200 hectares of land in Ikene farm settlements was to monitor the cassava planting demonstration ahead of the young cassava farmers training, after which their farms will be allocated to them.
They are not going to pay for the land, but the central bank will pay for the stem, the input, and they already have off-taker. So it's also one of our strategy of bringing development into farm settlement.
The program director, Ogun State Cassava Revolution Program, Kende Jokotoye, who is in charge of the training exercise, said the project is fully mechanized and will be technologically driven. Already, about 1,065 of the young cassava farmers recently benefited from CBN credit facility.
Health matters now. Moscow residents may get Russian vaccine next month, just as the United States exceeds 91,000 daily coronavirus cases. Details of this and other stories making the rounds globally with Justin Bemwe.
Russian authorities have said Moscow residents who want to be vaccinated against COVID-19 may be able to do so as early as next month if large volumes of doses are supplied by then. Reports have it that the deputy mayor Anastasia Rakova said the capital was creating a large network of specialized vaccination rooms. In the meantime, European Union leaders have agreed to fairly distribute among EU countries a vaccine against the coronavirus once such a vaccine becomes available. Meanwhile, the U.S. topped 9 million coronavirus cases Thursday, just 2 weeks after it hit the 8 million mark, as the pandemic continues to rage 10 months since the first case was confirmed in January. Also on Thursday, the country broke its record for the most cases reported in a single day since the pandemic began. Now looking at the numbers, figures and Worldometer dashboard as at 6 p.m. indicated global confirmed cases of coronavirus rose to 45,611,8 848, just as the Africa CDC indicated 1,759,794 cases for Africa. Back home, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control says the country now records 62,521 confirmed cases. And now in other news, Texans have already cast more ballots in the presidential election than they did during all of 2016. An unprecedented surge of early voting in a state that was once the country's most reliably Republican, but may now be drifting toward battleground status. More than 9 million ballots have been cast as of Friday morning in the nation's second most populous state, exceeding the 8.97 million cast in 2016, according to official tallies. And in Africa, the political opposition is rejecting early results of Tanzania's presidential and parliamentary election, saying the vote was illegitimate due to widespread fraud. Presidential challenger Tundu Lissu called on the international community not to accept figures emerging from Wednesday's voting. And away from Africa, a strong earthquake struck Friday in the Aegean Sea between the Turkish coast and the Greek islands of Samos, collapsing buildings in the city of Izmir in western Turkey, and officials said at least 6 people were killed and scores were injured. Thank you for watching. I'm Justin Bemunyi.
And that's all we have time for on the news at this time on NTA International. Remember to connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. I am Lami Ali.
This is NTA International.